Different case, same left-wing anti-American agenda. That's the subject of tonight's preamble. I think it's fitting that we start with the fact that the assassins who tried to kill 2 sheriff's deputies in Los Angeles have not been caught yet after that abhorrent shooting. Americans didn't take to the streets out there to loot, to burn, or beat, or kill their fellow citizens in response. Paid protesters like LeBron James have still not expressed one bit of concern for those deputies, even for the single mom who courageously bound her partner's wound while she herself was shot in the jaw. But in Kentucky, we have a case where 3 officers who were conducting a drug investigation went to Breonna Taylor's home. As part of that investigation, she was killed. To our knowledge, she was not the subject of that investigation. What we are confident of is her race was not a factor in the unintended killing. But that's about all I can comfortably say about the facts in that case. There has been so much disinformation, speculation, innuendo, and out-and-out lies in the reporting of this case, and that's just with the basket of biased press. It's tough for even the most seasoned folks to wade through all of that and make heads or tails of it. But as the ensuing riots show, the facts don't even matter. All that marching Marxists need is an excuse and the aforementioned disinformation. Some in the press laughingly called the riots in Louisville spontaneous. Consider this video obtained by the Daily Caller. It shows a U-Haul truck pulling up to a crowd of protesters, allegedly in Louisville. The sliding back door flies open and the protest supplies start flowing out. Ready-made signs, tote bags, and supplies are quickly distributed. It's a well-oiled left-wing machine, isn't it? It's very well coordinated. What it is not is a spontaneous grassroots protest. In fact, the short-lived protest was soon over after shots rang out last night. Those shots targeted 2 police officers. One has been released. The other is still in the hospital. The shooting suspect has been identified as Lorenzo D. Johnson, age 26, and shooting the 1 white and 1 black officer. This thug has been charged with 14 counts of wanton endangerment and 2 counts of assault. Now, unlike the officers in the Breonna Taylor case, the alleged shooter went to that protest with the intent of killing cops. Kentucky's governor, a Democrat socialist, tried to purchase peace by validating the lies of the coordinated BLM and Antifa rioters. Governor Andy Beshear put out a statement that read, quote, "I start with the humility and the acknowledgement that I will never feel the weight of 400 years of slavery, segregation, and Jim Crow. I will never personally feel that weight, but I can listen and I can try to hear and I can be clear. Systemic racism exists in this world, in this country, and in our Commonwealth." First, here's some good news for Governor Beshear. No American citizen who is alive today feels the weight of 400 years of those Democrat-inspired practices of slavery, segregation, and Jim Crow. And he is correct that systemic racism does exist around the globe. He is lying when he says that systemic racism exists in America or in the state in which he allegedly governs. How do Democrats make the sale to you voters out there that they should govern cities, states, or this country after they showed time and time again that they have such a low opinion of this country? How many of you folks in Kentucky out there, show of hands, how many of you appreciate your Democrat socialist governor saying that you have instituted systemic racism in your fine state? And if America were a nation that is governed by systemic racism, how the hell did we elect a black occupier of the Oval Office twice? If we have systemic racism in America, then Barack Obama should still be mopping floors in his community organizing headquarters in Chicago. It doesn't matter what the facts are in this incident. Marxists will use anything they can to drive their agenda. What is that agenda? Well, it's the destruction of the Constitution so America can be ruled by liberal elitists. This goal is what the poor people of Seattle are enduring tonight. As we reported to you yesterday, Seattle is pimping out its streets. They call it an alternative to policing. The city has hired a 7-time convicted pimp as its street czar. Andre Taylor was a key figure in the documentary American Pimp, where he glorified his lifestyle and stated that, quote, "The best pimps are the best men of character, substance, and principle." During one of his trials, key testimony came from one of his victims, claiming to have miscarried his baby while in jail just after her 18th birthday. More testimony came from a 16-year-old girl who alleged Taylor sent her throughout the United States to, quote, work for him. He was convicted in the year 2000 and sentenced to 5.5 years in prison. And guess what? Because of liberals only serving one of those years, Taylor became a political activist after his brother was shot dead after refusing to comply with police in a drug raid. The jury found his brother's death unlawful. Taylor then founded the nonprofit Not This Time and vowed to, quote, go to war with the city of Seattle. And he kept his promise. The left-wingers who run Seattle have surrendered in that war. They surrendered their law-abiding citizens. They have turned over policing to the criminals. And that's what Democrats seek to do to all of us. So that's why facts in the Breonna Taylor case don't matter to left-wing extremists. That's why the riots will continue. This is exactly what the Democrats will continue to do with every case, every liberal city, and every liberal state. They can't be stopped unless you vote them and their pimps out.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.